Our presentation is about Ellis Island. We went there last week and took a tour, and we go to describe some of the things that we found out. First, Race and I talk about the process, what it was like for the immigrant to go to Ellis Island, and then the Melissa talk about her family experience doing research into her background. Okay, so let's go to Race first. Hi, I'm going to talk about the first part of the process of going through Ellis Island. The different stages that the immigrant to go through. Okay, first, one important thing to remember is that Ellis Islands were only used for the poorest immigrant, the third-class passenger. The first and the second-class passenger were processed on the ship. Then they were taken to the dock when they got off. And then the ship was still onto Ellis Island with the third-class passengers still on board. When they finally landed at Ellis Island, they put on all the clothes they owned because they were allowed to bring in only one bag with a possession from their own country. People brought in all kinds of things like you would see a musical instrument or samovars, pots for making tea. Some people brought earth from their own country too, or plants, vines for example, for growing grapes. Then the first lady got the word that the dining hall there, then they were giving a meal that it was paid for by a steamship company. People who came to Ellis Island always remember the meal that the food was apparently quite good, but it was also strange for many of them. Some people had never tasted ice cream or seen the orange or banana, for example. And then after that, the inspection began, and Arnie going to tell you about that part. Arnie? Thank you. Okay. After the meal, thank you. Okay. After the meal, the passenger would leave her bag and go to the staircase to the great hall. And as they walked past, the inspector would watch them carefully to see if they were weak or sick. If someone was sick, they would send them to the hospital. There was a hospital in Ellis Island as well until they got better. They also were detained children, young women, and old people traveling along. About 20% of people would have back, often for health reasons, but most would leave after a day or two or when someone came to pick them up. In the Great Hall, they waited in line for hours, sometimes as long as 5 hours. They were crowded together and often very hot and very loud. You can imagine as many as 2,000 people all talking in so many languages. Then, when they finally got to the top of the line, the inspector would ask them questions like, "Where you come from? Where you going? Is somebody waiting for you?" That kind of thing. And there were the social worker and interpreter waiting with inspector, like helping people who needed to local relatives or whatever. Once they got past that part, the question, people would go in one of three lanes behind the inspector. The first lane was for the detention center if you were being held back. The second lane was for the railroad ticket office, for the train station. And the third lane was down to the stair to the area where people are waiting. There was a post there that was called the kissing post, because that was the scene of so many reunions. Husband met their wives and father met their children they haven't seen in years, and then the immigrants went off to start a new life. So now I'm gonna let Melissa talk about her family experience tracing the ancestor. My great-grandfather came in from Ireland, and my Aunt Jo actually used Ellis Island record to do research and find out where it came from. So I'm going to talk a bit about that. Basically, what I have at Ellis Islands is the ship record and the immigration information of every arriving passenger with like the date of they came in, the age, and the town they come from. So if you know, for example, your ancestor name, the year they arrived, or where he or she came from, you can look them up. So that's what we did. My Aunt Jo wanted to know more about her grandfather. My great-grandfather, he died before I was born, but apparently he was a great musician. He played the fiddle and sang at a family event. Well, John knew that he come from Cork in Ireland, but she didn't know where in Cork because he never spoke about it. So John went to the Ellis Island record and she found my great-grandfather's name. And it gives the name of the town where it came from. So So she went to the Ellis Island and visited the town a couple years ago. She got more information when she was there, and eventually she found that a living relative, a cousin, that she didn't know she had. It was great because she always wanted to know more about her grandfather that come from. So that's what we have time for, but we hope that you enjoy our presentation. Thank you.